Hey guys, we're going to be talking about accident prevention and specifically what you could be doing to keep yourself, the patients, and your coworkers safe. So it's very common that we have accidents in our facility, mainly because we're taking a very vulnerable population and then we're getting them up into things like standing and walking, and we're practicing things that are already difficult for them, and we're putting them basically in a place where they're not safe and they're more likely prone to fall or get injured. So we've had people pass out, we've had broken bones. It's bound to happen, and in order to just kind of set you guys up with as much as success as you can, I just want you to know off the bat that accidents do happen, but a lot of them are preventable, and those are the ones that we're trying to cover in this presentation. So also, if you have somebody fall, which it probably will happen to you, it happens to almost all of our therapists, then it's okay. This is literally what we're doing is we're getting people up that haven't been able to walk in a long time or maybe never at all. And when you think about the child that's learning to walk for the first time ever, they're going to fall thousands of times before they get it right. So it's ideal that we don't have anybody fall. Yes, of course. But just know that if someone does fall, you're not a bad therapist. You're not a horrible person. These things just happen. It's part of getting people up in a vulnerable state. So, but some things that we can do to help make sure that we're as prepared as possible is number one, just being alert. It's very hard to do our job when we're tired. If you didn't get enough sleep, if you're incredibly stressed out, if you have other things on your mind and you're not really thinking of the moment. I have heard this great saying, be where your feet are. And it's like, just if you're at work, be at work. Try not to be thinking about everything else. That way, when you get home, you can be at home. So it's just that idea of being mindful, alert, and just trying your best to do the things that you need to do that are in front of you. So another thing is nutrition plays a huge factor in this. If you're hungry, if you're thinking about your stomach, you're not going to be thinking about the patient. You're not going to be thinking about all the things that need to happen in order to keep you, your coworkers, and the patient safe. So, and look, we know coffee sometimes is just the burn, the fuel for our day that gets us burning, that gets us going through. So if like we have coffee stations. In fact, at one location, we have like a Dunkin' Donuts in the parking lot. We have Keurigs on site providing coffee. And then we also have an espresso machine. And it's like, we're making sure we're getting our fix of coffee at that location. But just be alert, be mindful. The next one is take your time. Don't rush. This happens so often that I see somebody that like instead of just laying the patient down, they leave them sitting on the edge of the mat, and then they run over to grab something, and on their way back, the patient's starting to fall, or they fall and hit the ground. Then you have tons of favor work to do, and the patient's hurt, and it's not good. So just take your time. The most important thing, plan, be prepared, plan ahead. If you're going to be throwing a ball back and forth with the patient and sitting on the mat, then go and get the ball first. Get the gait belt. Get some help if you need it. You can put stuff around them to make sure that if they do tip over on the mat, they're going to be fine. But then you're in front of them, like whatever it is, just plan ahead. Be prepared, because those are the things that it doesn't take long to prepare, but if you are prepared, it makes all of the difference. So the other one is most often people fall from transfers, sit to stands, or walking. It's one of the three. So take your time, be prepared, be alert in those specific things, because those are where people fall. It's 99% of the time. Sit to stands, transfers, walking. Those are by far the ones that we see the most. So just be prepared. Make sure that you're in a good place, that if the patient's coming to stand and maybe they're weak on the left side, then you're guarding that side a little bit more. They might be pushing towards that side if they're weak on it. So just be prepared. Take the transfer training very seriously. If it's in the middle of lunch and you can get with another coworker or even a clinic director or supervisor and just practice transfers. Sometimes that's all it takes, is just really starting to understand why people are moving the way that they're moving and what you can do to help prevent a fall. So the next one is going to be use safety equipment when needed. First off, with PPE, if you need to wear gloves, if you need to wear a face mask, whatever it is, make sure that you're doing that. We buy this stuff for a reason. So just make sure you're using it. I don't need to say much more than that, but don't ever feel like you can't use that equipment because maybe you'll offend a patient or something. You just need to make sure that you're being safe. So the next one is gait belts. I'm definitely a fan of gait belts, but at the same time, there might be some instances where I'm not using them. Maybe I'm just a little bit more hands-on with the patient. But if I leave it up to the discretion of the therapist. If you feel like a gait belt is going to help you, please use the gait belt. Just go and grab it. It takes a second to grab before you go back over and transfer the patient or whatnot. So make sure you're using the gait belt if you need it. And same with the Hoyer lift or the tram. It takes a second. It doesn't take long to get the tram. It doesn't take long to transfer somebody in. It doesn't take long to transfer someone in a Hoyer lift. So definitely use it if needed. The other thing is, if you're doing a transfer and you see the PT aide or the front desk receptionist, if they're split roles there, and they're not lifting in a manner that's safe for them, please take them aside and train them. It is our therapist's responsibility. If you are a PT aide or a receptionist watching this and you feel like you're not being safe, if you feel like your arms hurt after a transfer, your back hurts, your shoulders hurt, your knees hurt, your whatever, please let us know. There should not be anybody in this organization that is transferring somebody unsafely. So that is a huge risk. Please make sure we know, and we can train you on that. We can get you further transfer training. So the next one is follow instructions always. A Hoyer lift works best when it's used the way that it's supposed to be used. The tram works best when it's used the way that it's supposed to be used. The quadriciser, same thing. All these pieces of equipment, that is by far one of the top reasons that people get hurt in our facilities. It's not necessarily because they're falling. It's because they're not using the equipment properly. Maybe the patient has a whole lot of extensor tone and we're trying to get them on the quadriciser and we're trying to bend their knee a whole lot and it's pushing into the strap and it creates just that little burn on their shin or something like that. It's these small little things that make a big difference. So if we can minimize those. Also, if we break skin, we got to write an incident report, and that's never any fun. So just please be mindful of it. Just do it right the first time. This video is about accident prevention, not necessarily doing the incident procedures. So if you do need help with that, please just reach out to your supervisor and we'll get you squared away with that. So just know your equipment. That's mainly what we're trying to touch on here. If you don't know a piece of equipment or you don't feel like you are adequately trained, please, again, reach out to your supervisor and we'll get you trained on that. And the last one is just insist on proper training. So if you don't feel like you have the proper training, then tell somebody, tell someone, tell your supervisor, email me, I don't care what it is. Just let them know that you do not feel like you've been properly trained and let them know what we need training on. It's incredibly important that everybody feels like they're able to perform therapy and render the services that we need for the patients in a manner that keeps you safe, the patient safe, and all the other staff safe. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your supervisor. And yeah, these are steps to keep people safe. So make sure you guys are following them.